For this video, we're going to be taking a look at some of the resources that are available to teachers in the online component of the Everyday Mathematics eSuite. I have gone to everydaymathonline.com and I'm going to enter my username, which is my Indianola Schools email address. And then I click Login, and I will enter my password as well. At this point, the eSuite opens up with lots of different options available for teachers to use. The component that we're going to be taking a look at is the Everyday Mathematics Assessment Differentiation System, which is available at the bottom of the page when I scroll down. So I'm going to click on that system. When I do, another component will open up in a new window. And there are several features of this assessment differentiation system that are helpful to teachers. You can see at the top right corner that I've already loaded some classes, make-believe classes, into this program. The piece that we're going to be taking a look at are some of the activities that are available for teachers to use for differentiation, enrichment, or some type of an intervention activity if students would need that. So in the upper right corner of the screen, you're going to notice a little area that says Assessments, and I'm going to go to the drop-down menu, and instead of Assessments, I'm going to choose Activities. When I do that, another window opens up with different options for me to choose from. So I'm going to go over to the left side of the screen, and when I click on the drop-down menu, you can see that Everyday Math grade level goals or Common Core state standards appear. Now, you can search through these activities with either of these methods. If you happen to know the Common Core standard in your grade level that you want to do some additional work with students on, that is one way to sort through these activities. If, however, you're going to be working above grade level or below grade level, then it's a little bit easier to search through these grade level goals. So you can certainly choose either option. If I go to Common Core State Standards, then the Common Core areas are going to be showing up here for me to sort through. If I go to Everyday Math grade level goals, they're organized a little bit differently, but the same activities exist in the system for either option. They're just coded differently depending on how you want to do your search. Below that is an option for grade level, and when I click that drop down, you can see that anything from kindergarten through grade 6 is available to you to use in the system. Now what this means is you could work ahead for a student who needs maybe a little bit of challenge. You're looking for something that maybe comes up in the next grade level that might push them a little bit. Or if you have foundational pieces that a kid is missing, you can go back several grade levels and intervene with those materials as well. So if we assume that I'm teaching grade 3, I can either use materials from grade 3 or I can go back to grade 1. But I'm going to stick with grade 3 for now, just to show you how this system works. You'll notice that when I click on each of these links, areas appear below that are subcategories in order to find skills and concepts that I want to work on. So let's say, for example, I want to work on equivalent names for fractions and decimals. And I click on that, and again another subcategory appears. I can either find and represent equivalent names or rename and convert between fractions and decimals. Let's assume that that's what I want to do. When I make that choice, you'll notice that several activities appear in the window. And the first activity, Activity 1, is always the easiest one of the bunch. Activity 3, or the last activity, whatever the final activity is always the hardest. And then anything in between works on a continuum from easiest to hardest, or simplest to most difficult. So if I choose this Activity 1, I see in the window to my right several things appear. And the first thing that shows up is a teacher page. So I'm going to click on that. Now the teacher page is the set of directions for you for how to teach this particular lesson. It's meant to be generally, as you can see in this window here, a 5 to 15 minute lesson. So this is not a full everyday math lesson that we are used to in the classroom. This is meant to be a standalone piece of intervention that could be used at any time in the classroom. And just like your regular lessons in the teacher's manuals, you can see that materials that you need are listed, as well as teaching directions for how to get through this particular lesson. Now, once you have done this lesson, just like in a regular everyday math lesson, there's an opportunity for assessment and there's an opportunity for spiral review and practice. So each of these worksheets here work very similar to the journal pages in the student math journal, and it gives you a chance to check student understanding. If you want to see the student pages with answers, these are all available for you to examine. And again, these are pages that you would be using during your teaching of this lesson according to the lesson plan that we just took a look at. Review boxes are here on the side. And again, this is just another piece that you could use for assessment. Perhaps if you are following a gradual release method and you've already shown and explicitly modeled an example, and students have worked together with you, the teacher, and amongst themselves, this might be something that you would give them to do independently to assess their level of understanding. And there's also another assessment piece that you could use as well. Again, this is something that you could use with students independently if you want to see their own level of understanding. So there are a lot of options with these materials that are in here. The review boxes, the assessment pieces, the parts for students working together, that you have a lot of flexibility with and how you want to use that in that 5 to 15 minute time frame. The Students tab, if I click on that, shows me the exact same pages that I just looked at, except they do not have the answers listed in them. So these pages are here and available for you, and you can see every so often these pages pop up. You can or these links pop up. You can either save, print any of these materials. They're all PDFs available for you to save and print out. And then finally, in many cases, there's a game that ties with this concept. So if you have a specific group of students that you would like them to play a game that ties and connects with the concept that you're working on them with, there will be pages that are available for you to examine. So those are all choices as well that come up. So again, I can continue to search through all of these different areas and find a number of different skills or concepts that I might need to work on with students. And every time I click on those, a lesson plan page will come up. Now you can see in here, this particular lesson calls for a 15 to 30 minute time frame. So that might be a consideration as you are planning out your intervention or your enrichment time frames. This might be an activity that you would accomplish over the course of 2 days rather than one. But it's certainly an option that's there and available for you to use. So again, to access this particular resource, once I've logged into my everydaymathonline.com website using my Indianola email address and my password, I can go down to the bottom of the page, choose Everyday Mathematics Assessment Differentiation System. A new window will open up, and when that window opens, in the upper right corner, I'm going to go to the Assessments field choose the drop-down arrow and tell it that I want to go to Activities. And over on the left side, I can choose to sort by Common Core State Standards or Everyday Math grade level goals. Now, we just imagined that I'm a third grade teacher, and so everything that I just examined was from grade 3. But what happens if I have a student who's missing some foundational pieces and I want to go back to a prior grade level? Well, I can do the same thing if I go back to grade 1, for example, and if I'm organized by the Everyday Math grade level goals, that makes it easier to find activities out of my grade level than if I use Common Core State Standards. Mostly for the fact that people are familiar with Common Core Standards from their own grade level, but above or below your own grade level, sometimes people are not quite as familiar with what those standards would be. And so the Everyday Math grade level goals makes it a little bit easier to find what you're looking for. But if I select Geometry, I can see that there are similar looking things to what I had in grade 3, but of course these are going to be the first grade goals and foundational pieces to grade 3. So perhaps I want to identify, describe, compare, and classify, and model solid figures. Here we go, instead of plane figures. So again, I can choose on the easiest activity. The teacher lesson plan will appear. I can read through that lesson plan and decide, do I think that might be good for my students? I can take a look at the student work page that will be done with the teacher or in groups. This looks like a reference page here to help with the work. This is a review box page here that students would be doing, could be doing independently or could be doing in pairs. It just depends on how you're trying to get that assessment information and what you need it for. So again, this is a great option for teachers to use with small groups of students or even with the entire class. If you find that there's something that the majority of your students need, it's a great way to go back and review some of those skills in a quick way, a targeted way, and that really gets at the level that students are working at. If you need any additional help with this resource, you can contact me. I'd be glad to come to any of your PLC team meetings and work with you on this resource more in depth. Thank you very much.